and a fantastic organisation, Operation Mobilisation. They do brilliant work supporting the church here in New Zealand and also internationally. Joining me in the studio, a couple of people from the OM team. We've got Ross and Joelle. Guys, kia ora. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ross, first up, you are the National Director of Operation Mobilisation, or OM, in New Zealand. For those people who are not aware, what sort of things are you involved with? What work does OM do?
Hey, thanks, Andrew. It's wonderful to be able to join you today. And OM most definitely is all about mobilising the church.
Yep.
We have 5,000 workers, church workers around the world, and we're serving in the least reached nations worldwide, globally. So 120 countries worldwide. Our remit really is to share the love of God with people in whatever capacity that looks like. But right here in New Zealand, we're working with young adults, young people, so that we can equip the next generation of missionaries and church workers.
Fantastic stuff. Now, you've got a program which is, I understand, got underway reasonably recently, a leadership development program called Off the Grid. How did this come about, Ross?
Oh, yes. Great question, Andrew. Thank you. Well, in fact, Off the Grid has been running for 15 plus years in New Zealand.
Okay.
We took a short break during COVID, as everybody did, but we've restarted it this year, and so we're super excited to be having young adults, young future Christian leaders from around the world taking part, and we're really, as I say, wanting to equip them and challenge them and to think, well, what does life look like if it's lived on mission?
It is so good to have the borders open again because, I mean, as you say, with those that couple of years of blip and hiatus, doing international mission was something we did by Zoom rather than in person.
Totally.
A little bit complicated. So great to have the borders open again. And Joelle Erwin from South Carolina, I understand originally, Joelle?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
Okay, apologies for my geographical ignorance in that
close.
regard. But hey, so glad that you've been here in New Zealand. Tell us about the Off the Grid program and how you found out about it, how you got involved with that.
So actually my parents met through OM.
Aww.
The OM also has a ship, and that's a ministry where there's lots of books on board, and it's a book fair.
Doulos.
Yeah. So they met on the Logos 2 in the 90s in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
And so then, they got married, had me. So I've been in OM most of my life.
Yeah.
They worked for the OM USA office for 15 years. So because of that, I'm kind of always aware of what's going on in OM, what programs they're offering. And so when I graduated high school, I decided that Off the Grid would be a great opportunity to spend a gap year traveling and, a discipleship training program. But the leaders were rebuilding the base camp, and they said, okay, can you be a little patient? How flexible is your schedule? And I said, I guess so. I guess I can work around this. And then lockdown happened.
Oh,
so
man.
4 years later, I was able to join the program. So that was great.
So any parental pressure? Is it sort of like, well, hey, you got to follow in our footsteps here? Or was there a personal individual calling to this type of work?
Good question. Never for my parents. But I think just seeing the way that they live their lives really inspired me. They've been so involved in OM with like OM Arts and the ships again and the USA home base. So it's always been an option. And my parents kind of lived their life saying, why not? Why not go after this? Why not travel here and experience this and connect with these people? So I told myself, I said, I would never join the ships because that's what my parents did. I grew up my whole life listening to these stories. Yeah. And so knowing so many OMers as well, they asked me the same questions. And I said, no, that's for my parents. But then I found myself on board the Logos Hope.
Well, exactly. And there's, of course, land-based ministry as well. And you found yourself on the other side of the world with a leadership development program in New Zealand. Had you been to New Zealand before?
No, my first time.
Yeah? Any lasting impressions? What memories will you take back with you?
So I was on the South Island. The base camp is in Nelson, and it's beautiful.
Yep.
So beautiful. My parents actually joined me after the program was over, and we did a road trip all the way down to Mount Cook. Yeah. And that we just had to be silent and look around us. It was incredible. It's just beautiful here.
Talk to us about some of the details of the program. What are some of the things you're involved with? What are some of the things you learned?
Right. So the setup of the program is 40 days. About half of the time we're at base camp all together, and then the other half we're tramping in the backcountry. And so, we'll prepare for the tramps, make sure we have everything we need, and we'll head out, and we'll be away for 2 nights or so. Yeah. So it just alternates. But going back to base camp is really good to kind of recenter, refocus. But at the same time, we're following a Bible study, a daily devotional. So we work through a Francis Chan book, and so much time is spent in that, preparing for that, and in conversation about how to live a missional life, what's God doing in your life, and all that stuff.
I mean, it's important stuff to learn, but why not learn it in beautiful scenery and be inspired by God's creation? I think, some of the places that you've been to, very tricky to be an atheist. Because it's just such wonderful creation. Now, just about to head back. Any ideas about what specific work God is calling you to?
Oh, good question. That's been circulating in my mind a lot.
Yeah.
When I came here, I was all ready for a master's program.
Okay.
I just graduated university in May with a degree in journalism and a minor in criminal justice.
Okay.
And so I was wanting to get my master's in criminology. But then I came here and we were talking about really pushing your boundaries and stretching yourself, and how when you do that, you learn so much and you're more capable than what you realize.
Yeah.
And so I had recently applied to a documentary production in Asia.
Wow.
And so I was waiting to hear back from them. And so being on the program, it kind of gave me more peace in that, saying, you know what, I think I could strive for this and I could be happy. It doesn't have to be so intimidating.
Yeah.
And so I'm still waiting to hear back from that, but my mindset is a whole lot different. And then the third option is going back to the ship. I know I have got to move on, but
part of the crew, part of the ship. Is that sort of like, it sounds like a life sentence in that regard. But I love the way that God has worked through your life. Yes, obvious skills in journalism and as a storyteller, but being able to use those skills, redeem those skills to tell stories of what God is doing in different parts of the work. Isn't it wonderful? It's as if he's got a plan and we're a part of it.
Exactly. How funny.
Yeah, Joelle, we certainly wish you all the best with the next part of your journey, and hope you have very happy memories of your time here in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So back to you, Ross. Is this, do you have to be from Atlanta, Georgia to be part of the Off the Grid program? Can good homegrown Kiwis be a part of this as well? How do people be involved?
Oh, very much so. And we would love more Kiwis to be involved with Off the Grid.
Yep.
So much so that we've actually got 3 sessions lined up, which are just 10 days long next year.
Okay.
And they're really designed for local believers. But yes, we have 3 40-day experiences as well next year. So if you wanted to know more, if people want to jump on board, please do, om.org.nz, or otherwise reach out and contact the local office.
Very easy website to remember, om.org.nz. Hey, if 40 days in the wilderness was good enough for Jesus, it's not a bad place to start ministry. Guys, thank you so much for the work that you do for your mahi. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless.